So good morning, everyone. This is the July 11th IPython Jupyter developers call meeting, and we are following an agenda which is linked in the chat currently on Dropbox paper. And let's see. Oh, the first note in the agenda is that Thomas is at EuroPython, so we'll be missing him today. And our first update looks like comes from Jessica, who's furiously typing notes in the agenda right now. So I'm going to interrupt you so you can go ahead and share with us if you're able to join on the audio.
No, that's me. That's Fernando typing.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, I see your name there. No.
I don't know if Jessica is present, but we had a last minute unexpected contractual slowdown with Jessica, and it's actually been resolved literally as of 5 minutes ago. So Jessica might actually not be here, and it was a problem on my side, purely an administrative issue, but it caused a bit of a slowdown. It's been taken care of. I just saw the confirmation that we were finally back on track, just literally minutes before joining the meeting. So.
Gotcha. Okay. I do see Jessica on the list, but she's
Hi, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, hey, yes.
Oh, great. Okay, I wasn't sure if you were going to make it, but
oh no, I made it. I'm here. I'm just I'm just lurking. Yeah.
Yeah. Feel free to update with anything else. I was just mentioning that our little glitch is resolved.
Yeah. So I've still been working on the demo. I'm waiting to get all the pieces and parts from the changes from PyData Seattle. So I know that we have some notes regarding how the demo went with the talk, and so I'm waiting to incorporate that back in. We're transitioning into PyInvoke. So that's another thing that we're working on in terms of like setup, and then we're still trying to get everything with regards to all the different extensions. We're trying to pin down a version and get all the extensions together. Right now, some things work on 0.25.1, and then some things only work on 0.24.1. And so we're going to need to figure out how to pin down a version and get as much as we can on a specific version. So that's in process. And then I should be trying to meet with other people on the Jupyter Lab team just to kind of pin down what sort of additional content we want to have and what the licenses should be, and so that we really know, what the environment's going to be like, what sort of extensions should we have, what additional content from other open source examples we're going to be using, and what are the licenses on that, so that we can kind of just pin down a canonical example to share that can be used for when we do the beta release. So that's where we are now.
Thank you. Jessica, if I could ask you when you have a chance, maybe later after the meeting, if you can drop a couple of lines of summary into the Dropbox note in the doc section, that'd be awesome.
Yes, okay? That's fine. I'll write that down. Sorry,
no worries. No worries.
I started writing, but I typically do that, and I will also do that today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Anna, I think you're talking, Anna, but you're muted. I see your mouth moving, but you're muted.
Yes, somehow I'm muted. So the next update looks like on Jupyter Notebook from Grant. Go ahead.
Okay, so I don't have much of an update on Notebook this week. I have more of a notebook on Jupyter Lab, but starting mid this week, I should be able to start doing some issue triage and pushing towards 5.1.
Okay. Awesome.
Any particular major blocker that you have on 5.1 or anything that you need maybe major help with from anyone in particular?
Not so much. No, I've just been busy with some other things, but I could always use help with just merging PRs and issue triage, but nothing in particular.
Cool. Okay, thanks, Grant.
Mm-hmm.
And then not sure who's giving the Jupyter Lab update. Is that going to be Steve, Darian?
Yep, that'd be me.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
We released version 25 last Friday, which has a new extension type to make it easier for contributions of MIME rendering, both for in notebooks as well as for documents that render specific file extensions. And Grant has already taken advantage of that with a couple of his renderers. I'll let him talk about that at the end. One of the reasons to release on Friday was that Brian, Chris, and Ian presented Jupyter Lab in real-time collaboration at PyData Seattle. The video is up. I linked to it in the hackpad or the paper. We are continuing the refactor of the notebook models and views that was prompted by a bug in Firefox. In the end, it'll be a lot cleaner pattern, and we're converging on a solution to that. So that's work in progress. We have the client side of the user settings is handled. Working on the back end of that threads it through to the server user settings. So Darian and I have been working on that this past week. And I guess last is you, Grant. Go ahead.
Okay, so we're using the new extension system to basically install these renderer extensions. So it's really easy to install now. All you have to do is Jupyter Lab extension install, and then we have two up right now. We have a JSON extension and a GeoJSON extension. Plotly extension is coming soon. We're just waiting on a definitely typed PR to be merged. There was a couple other ones. One was the JSON table schema, but I don't think that's necessary anymore because we have the data grid component that will be bundled in Jupyter Lab. And then the next step here is just to figure out how to bundle these two extensions or these three extensions with Jupyter Lab so that users don't necessarily have to install the extensions. They just have JSON tree renderer and a GeoJSON renderer by default in Jupyter Lab. So that's something that I don't think there's an immediate need for this, but that's just something that we're going to figure out how to do in the next couple weeks, and I'll be working with Steve to figure that out. And then another next step is to then adapt the classic notebook extensions to work nicely, to play nicely with these, which shouldn't be too much work, but these are different because they're not Python packages anymore. They're just very slim node modules or npm packages. So it's just a matter of refactoring the existing classic notebook extensions.
I was just going to add for the JSON table schema, the data grid already ships with a data model implementation out of the box that supports JSON schema. So you should just be able to take the schema and the data rows and throw it at the data model, and it should work.
Cool.
Glad to hear that some of these kind of very broad usage ones will be shipped by default. I think it'll be really useful, and it'll encourage people. Seeing some of that functionality out of the box is probably important to encourage other people to write new extensions to say, oh, you can do these things. How about if I do it for my thing? And that's a lot easier if a few interesting ones are shipped out of the box rather than if people always have to go and install them separately. I think it'll make a big difference. So work, guys.
Definitely.
I'll also point out that the Vega 2 renderer is actually part of the Jupyter Lab core right now as a built-in example of a MIME renderer.
Yeah.
Great.
And thanks to Steve for all the work with the extension system, because now it's much easier to write these renderer extensions. All right, that's it for me.
Okay, thanks, Grant. Looks like Carol put a note in the Jupyter widgets section. I don't think Jason's on the call. So Carol, did you want to say anything else about the SciPy tutorial?
Yeah, it's a pretty comprehensive tutorial of all things widgets and well worth looking at the notebooks after the conference is over, and we should find some way to share that with the community as well, whether it's an email out to the Google group or something, because they're really quite well done. So, and that's it.
That definitely an email out to the group. That might also warrant flagging Anna, maybe flagging it on the newsletter. Just a quick note about it. Once the talk is up, and SciPy is. Actually, I don't remember. Does SciPy put video of the tutorials up, or just of the main talks? I don't remember. Tutorials are going to be up on video.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we can just wait maybe for the video to be up. That way we can link both to the video and the repo with the content.
It's good. And who normally does the NB convert updates? I don't know who that is.
Typically M does, but I don't know if he's with us today. I haven't seen him today. Participants.
No.
SciPy too.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. So next up is an update from Peter on services.
Hey, so a few things to note. Maybe Min's got some more too now he's back. Docker Stacks build VM that we were getting for free from IBM got torn down. So I finally bit the bullet and set up some automation around building the Docker images. Docker Cloud offered what I thought, and I still believe, are all the pieces that we need so that we don't needlessly rebuild and run into really large image downloads for our users because of all the rebuilding that's going on, and provides all the tagging capability that we kind of have been running with for a couple of years now. And the first build actually just completed during this call. Min merged the PR this morning. We had a couple hiccups, but it's just a bit of tweaking we need to do. So I think that'll pan out nicely. We'll keep an eye on it. If we need to jump to something else, we can. On MB Viewer, there was a request to get MB Viewer released on PyPy. I think this is the first time someone's actually asked. And it was about 2 weeks ago the issue got opened, and there's been 11 upvotes. So that's something we should probably look at now that someone's requested it.
I didn't realize that MB Viewer wasn't actually. I mean, obviously the code has been open source. I didn't realize that it wasn't a package that was installable, because we've always told people, sure, you can run your own MB Viewer, and we know people do. So it's good to have it actually as a regular package. It'll be interesting to see what kind of uptake that helps it get.
It's you still have to kind of configure it to work with all your infrastructure. So it's kind of more an app than a library.
Yeah, what's out there right now is pretty much set up to run it in Docker very easily. But we can certainly make it a package. It just means people are going to have to satisfy lots of dependencies, like Matthias just said. Kernel Gateway, there's been a bunch of queries off of that issue. I should say issue, not pull requests, just about supporting multiple notebooks as APIs. It's open sort of as a bug bounty. We could go implement it. It's probably a good amount of work, adding complexity to the project. I'm not sure if we want to do it. People have always found little workarounds like proxying to multiple servers, or the latest user that they just moved common code out to a Python file, and that's all they needed to do. But just raising it up, that's something that's been getting a lot of questions on the mailing list and elsewhere. And as a side note, that NB Estimate notebook, I guess I should have said something back in June, but I don't know if I was on the call, and it passed the 1 million mark for public notebooks on GitHub. So, yay.
I recently gave a talk, by the way, and with credit to you, Pete, at JuliaCon, a keynote, and I used the plot from your data, and it was already above 1 million. That's really cool. And we have an intuition that the private, at least a while back, the private size was about the same as the public size, so it might be around 2 million total, if that remains true.
That's all I've got, but if Min or anyone else has anything related to services, those are just quick notes I took.
All
Thanks,
right,
Pete.
so thank you. We will move on to Jupyter Hub. And Carol.
So I dropped this note. I know it's Carol's turn to present Jupyter Hub, but I saw that yesterday. I didn't open an issue, but I saw that on the official Google Doc about how to run TensorFlow in the cloud. They tell you, hey, here is how to install Jupyter Hub. They're using a Bash script. Maybe we could try to contact some people there and show them our Helm charts that UV worked on. It might make things easier. So yeah. Just drop that here.
No, that's a great suggestion. And, there's no reason the Zero to Jupyter Hub couldn't have something guiding people to use like the TensorFlow image that we have within Docker Stacks. So so we missed Min, but now he's back, and we've just been plugging along, kind of closing some issues and keeping things afloat in his absence. And that's about it. So welcome back. I hope you had fun.
Yeah, it's good.
All right, thanks, Carol. So for conferences and workshops in JupyterCon, just a few quick things. We have various Jupyter developers or core contributors out at SciPy, and they will be posting videos of all their session. Looks like they don't do a live stream, but they do post videos. Is that accurate, or do they do a live stream for some of the stuff?
They post videos afterwards, but they're typically pretty quick on the draw. So typically within a couple day or two, they go live. So it's very fast.
Got it. And looks like PyBay is coming up middle of August in San Francisco. If there's any other workshops that you're going to be speaking at or presenting at in the next month or two, in the next 3 or 4 months, go ahead and add them here to share with the community. And someone said, oh, PyCon Poland. Yes, Carol is going to be keynoting that. Thank you. And then as far as JupyterCon, we're in the process of closing out the process for scholarships. Hopefully that will happen here soon. And also Matthias is going to be writing, the blog post that we had announcing JupyterCon, I think, is from January. So Matthias is going to be writing a post to kind of refresh that. And it looks like he's looking for feedback soon, since he wants to post that by end of week. And
yeah, mostly if you have things that I haven't said that I forgot, please drop a line in the Dropbox paper, and I will try to fill in the missing information.
Okay, great. Thanks for doing that, Matthias. Action items, looks like somebody crossed out the most recent one for Thomas, so good. It looks like he's not looking for that help anymore. And then we have pending, of course, the Jupyter Lab release. And I don't, who was working on writing that blog post and screencast? Was that Jessica, or was that someone else?
Yeah, no, I'm supposed to be working on the blog post. I think the screencast, from what we know, was, I think right now we were planning on trying to at least use some of the screencasts from the previous meetings to show off the live collaboration. But I think right now we're still figuring out on pinning a demo down with regards to like getting what extensions we want to show, since like they're not all compatible right now. But with regards to a blog post, yeah, that's definitely something I volunteered to work on, and I can work on. The last time I checked, it wasn't necessarily time for us to put that together, but yeah, I can definitely work on that this week if that's the timeline we want to be working on it.
Gotcha. Okay. I got it. I would say check in with the Jupyter Lab folks on the timing of that, and kind of go from there.
Yeah,
It seems like
Sorry?
you guys are still working on the on the model refactoring stuff. That might take a few more days, but
yeah,
whatever timeline makes sense for you guys is
yeah. I
fine.
think right now it's still not quite. I mean, the last time I checked, it wasn't quite ready for us to start. But when at least now that we have when the talk comes up online, I don't think that the PyData Seattle talk is online. But when it comes online, I can at least start turning that into like written content. So we'll start moving on that at least this week.
Actually, Jessica, the talk went up live. Steve just added a link to it. So if you scroll back up a little bit on the document, Steve found a link to the talk.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you.
Apparently, they just put it up.
Okay, great.
Okay, great. And so now we move into the recap of the releases from last week, releases for this week, and to be released soon. I think most of this was probably covered already in everyone's updates, but is there anything else that someone wants to talk to?
The one we haven't mentioned is NB Grader. Jess, are you on the call?
Oh, she's at SciPy.
Okay, got it. So
Yeah.
Jess had an NB Grader release, and that actually reminded me one thing of note to mention for JupyterCon. I'll try to find a link to it, but Lorena Barba and a colleague of hers, Robert Talbert, are organizing a BOF on education, on Jupyter and education. That's going to be kind of a large BOF. So we were able to find, thanks folks at O'Reilly were able to find a space in the evening on Thursday to have a dedicated large session. In addition to sort of the more informal, small lunchtime BOF tables, there's going to be a large BOF dedicated to Jupyter and education, which is kind of a follow-up from a successful one a year or two ago at SciPy. And so that should be fun. It should be interesting. And do not completely quote me on this, but it might be possible that part of the event will be open to the general public. But I'll confirm that.
Nice. Okay. Great. Thanks for sharing that.
And another thing too that I just remembered regarding the conference is that Kyle and Jason have been continuing to work on the sprints, which will be on Saturday. And so remember that there will be sprints on Saturday, and that will be open to the public. So if somebody has friends or colleagues or interested parties in New York who may want to hang out, come over for a day of sprints on Saturday after the main conference is over. It may be a little bit too much for someone to travel for that, but if they're local to the area, they may want to come and participate at the sprints. So these are being sponsored by Bloomberg, and Jason and Kyle are leading the organization.
So you can come to this.
Well, Safia has a good conflict in that she's keynoting another conference that weekend, so she's not going to be able to participate. But Kyle and Jason are taking care of that.
So the sprint are open even if you don't have your ticket for JupyterCon.
Yes, that's correct.
And there's no registration cost for the sprint.
I'm pretty sure that's the case. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that's the case.
And how do people register in advance, just so we have that known?
Let's check on that next week with Jason, who's the one actually. Jason and Kyle are the ones doing the logistics. So I think there's an event. I think Safia had actually done that part on Eventbrite, but I don't want to speak for them because I haven't been the one working on that. So people to be aware that
it would be good to do that before the end of the week so that I can include it in the blog post.
Okay, why don't you ping Kyle and Jason on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
You mean the blog post about Jupyter Lab?
No, the blog post about the conference.
About the conference.
Okay.
Matthias is working on a blog post about sort of an update about news and things happening at JupyterCon.
Okay, great.
So is there anything else about releases that anyone wants to talk about? Or anything else for that matter? We're pretty much at the end of the agenda. So at this point, if you have something that you wanted to share or discuss that is nowhere else on the agenda, this would be the point to jump in. If not, we will go ahead and sign off and close out. Last chance, last chance. Okay, that's it. Thank you everyone for a great meeting. I will go ahead and end the recording. Bye.